Hello Gemini, and welcome to my channel, Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We are looking at all three sides of the connection, so we'll be pulling for your side, their side, and then the energy in between the connection, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, your perspective, their version of the truth, their perspective, and then this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate, if anything, that helps your personal situation, and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed. So if that's the case for you, especially if you're a cross-watcher, that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, Gemini, let's jump on in. Let's start with looking at your energy toward this person. Gemini's side of the connection to the person they are dealing with. Fate. I feel like meeting this person feels or felt a lot like fate for you. Almost as if it was a meant to be kind of thing. What else? It didn't turn all the way around or hit the table. It was detachment. It was supposed to come out at will. But I like when they turn all the way around or hit the table. So it makes it feel more intentional for me. Okay. Manipulation. Ooh. Okay. All right. So there's something going on here. Because it feels like there is this energy of feeling as if like you and this person were meant to meet, as if it was destiny, fate. But then I feel like the energy kind of shifts. And it shifts into this like something feels off kind of feeling. Almost as if the way that things were in the beginning is not necessarily the way that things have unfolded. And I feel like that has made it really difficult for you because I feel like there has been kind of like a switch that flipped. Almost. It's like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be. And now I feel like your intuition is like, something's off. This isn't this isn't what I signed up for. Like, this isn't what I thought this was going to be. So what happened? This person's energy toward Gemini. This manipulation card's been coming out a lot in readings. I feel like people are needing to really be discerning with their energy right now. And not just like in particular, I guess I did say this manipulation card, but just that in general, like the needing to make sure that you're looking into situations with like all senses. It's making sure that you're listening to your intuition, your gut. All right, this person energy toward Gemini. Dream come true, same kind of experience for them. So this felt like a dream come true. I mean, seeing dream come true with fate, I feel like that's a very similar experience for both people. Patience, romance, and then interference. So something, because I feel like they had the same experience here. This is a dream come true. We were meant to meet. This romance card definitely gives off this energy of like, love bombing in a way. Almost as if when you first met, this person was like everything you would ever dreamed of, right? But then as time went on, I feel like their energy shifted, right? We kind of saw that on your side of things. But what's interesting is you have this patience card. But the thing that's really standing out to me in this card is this chessboard here. It's like this person, I feel like, tends to be very calculated with their movements. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they have bad intentions. You know, love bombing in general comes from a place of insecurity. It's, I don't believe that I'm enough as I am, so I am going to completely smother you with love and affection and compliments and smoke and mirrors so that you don't see me for who I really am and you fall for that. And which is why love bombing eventually goes away, is because and nobody can pretend to be who they're not for a long enough time. And so eventually, like I said, you know, that those smoke and mirrors kind of dissipate, and you're left with, that's typically when you feel the switch flip, then you're kind of left with the reality of who somebody really is. So I don't know. This is an interesting one. I feel like there's a lot to unpack here, especially because I do feel this person had genuine feelings for you or has genuine feelings for you. It just feels like they're almost like the way that they're showing up in this connection is different from how they really feel in some way, which is what, I mean, essentially what manipulation really is. But let's get a little bit more. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to start guessing. Truth of this connection between Gemini and this person. Surrender. What else? Truth of the connection between Gemini and this person. Ego. Oof. All right. So ego is definitely heavily at play here. And I feel like this surrender card is kind of this this reminder that sometimes we have to be willing to wave the light flag of our expectations and look at things from a very realistic perspective. And I feel like you had like expectations for this connection, right? And I feel like those expectations were built on who this person showed up as in the beginning. So that makes sense, right? You have expectations. Someone, you know, makes you a bunch of promises. You're going to expect that those promises are going to be fulfilled. So I'm not saying you did anything wrong, but I will say that I feel like over time, like their true self, or like what the self that they're capable of embodying at this moment, is what you're kind of seeing, what has eventually come out here. Because I do feel in the beginning, like I said, there was this love bombing, and that's what made you feel like a fate. It was fate, but then they have this dream come true card. So to them, meeting you also felt like a dream come true. So it's confusing, because it's like, well, then why would they act this way, or why would they do these things, or why would they behave this way? I guess that's the question at hand, right? Let's see. Overall theme of this reading, for Gemini. If that card is supposed to come out, it will again. I have these long nails. I love having long nails, but it makes picking up these decks so difficult sometimes. All right, overall theme of this reading for Gemini. Separation. Ooh. Religious factors. Because your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. So there's a spiritual purpose to this. And you have separation. So there might be distance between you and this person. It could be like physical distance, like you guys are literally separated, or there's like this emotional distance that happened when that switch kind of flipped. But there's a spiritual purpose to it too. So I feel like there's a lot to unpack here. I feel like there's several things that are happening, several things that are at play, several different dynamics almost that are at play. So let's dive deeper. Let's look at the story here. Start, Gemini, with your side of this connection. You have manipulation with fate. Gemini's energy toward the person they are dealing with. Keep hearing spiritual warfare. Page of Cups in reverse. Interesting. 10 of Cups. So this is what you felt it was at the beginning, right? You felt it was this 10 of Cups. You were like, oh my gosh, I found my person. This is it. This is what I wanted. I can't believe it. Dream come true. And then, bam, something changed. Why are these cards being so weird? Gemini side of this connection. Okay. Yeah, because there's the 5 of Cups here. So you have King of Swords, 5 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles, 3 of Wands. I feel like this connection with the 3 of Wands, it was very different from, like, this is very much this energy of, like, I've never felt this way before. And I feel like that can really be complicated when things kind of switch, right? Because you're like, well, what was real? Like, was what you were showing up with at the beginning real, or was who you are now? Like, what's real? Were you just taking advantage of me? Like, what the hell went on? And I feel like with this King of Swords energy, it feels almost like you felt like you met, like, you, like a reflection of you, almost as if maybe you guys were really similar. There could have been like shared interests or values there. I'm not quite sure, but I feel like seriously, in the beginning of this, it felt like a dream come true. It felt almost like a perfect match. But then, here's this 5 of Cups, right? So things obviously didn't evolve in the way that you expected. And I feel like, let's say 3 of Pentacles, I feel like is in reverse. Page of Cups in reverse, 10 of Cups, King of Swords, 5 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles in reverse, 3 of Wands, just in case I didn't say that. I feel like things never evolved into what you expected, and there's a lot of disappointment in your energy, a lot of grief, a lot of sadness with how things unfolded. And I feel like you were now left trying to figure out what the hell happened here. Now, this Page of Cups is interesting because the Page of Cups in reverse can sometimes be this energy of like emotional unavailability. And I feel like because I do feel like you opened up a lot to this, and maybe that's something that you're not used to doing or you don't do often, and I feel like you did. And I feel like you did because of that potential you saw, because of everything that you felt this could be. But I feel as if there was something off. I don't know if it was with your intuition. I don't know if it was with, like, this person's behavior, but it's like you felt there was something off. But you felt also as if there were so many other things that were so good that it's kind of like maybe you brushed that off. You were like, oh, well, yeah, there are these things, or there are some red flags, or there's this, or there's that, but this is so good. Especially if you were kind of experiencing that love bombing, right? Because you were like, but this feels so good, and there's so much excitement and, good chemical feelings that you're experiencing. And so nobody can blame you. I'm not saying you should have ignored red flags or something like that, but it does definitely feel as if your intuition was like, hey, there's something going on. There's something off about this. But I feel like maybe, again, it's like you brushed that off because you had never felt this way before. But then, yeah, there's this disappointment. So what's interesting to me about this is it's obvious that you both saw this as a dream come true, right? So why did things unfold the way that they did? Like, why are you left in this Five of Cups energy? Why are you experiencing this disappointment, this grief, this sadness when the future looked so bright? I guess that's the real question. All right, this person's energy toward Gemini. You have romance with dream come true. This person's energy. What does Gemini need to know about this person's energy? Now, remember what I said about love bombing, right? It's typically a way to cover up insecurity. When you're dealing with people who manipulate or who overcompensate, you're usually dealing with someone who doesn't feel good enough. When you're dealing with someone who doesn't feel good enough, their behavior can be dangerous because they're presenting themselves as someone they think they need to be and not who they actually are, which ultimately leads to eventually their true colors come out, like who they really are presents itself, and you're confused because that's not who they had been. Okay. Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Oh my goodness. Okay. Tower. Seven of Wands. This person's stubborn. I feel like they've been burned before. And I feel like they have in some way, it's like they've put, because the Seven of Wands to me is very like the Seven of Wands can represent boundaries and standing up for one's truth, but it can sometimes be taken to the other way, which becomes more about like everything's an argument, people are always out to get me, I need to protect myself. So this person's definitely been burned before, and I feel like it is a big reason for a lot of their behavior in this connection. Something from, I don't know if it's necessarily from their past or just like some sort of wound here. This Eight of Swords represents this person being trapped trapped in a world of their own making. That's a lot of times what the Eight of Swords is. And what that can typically entail is especially in these love readings, is you're dealing with someone who doesn't believe that they can have the love that they truly desire. So they either push it away or sabotage it when they have it, or they look for it in places where it's not what they truly deserve. They either look for it in places they can't find it, or they push it away from people who provide it. Now, I feel like in this like energy in particular, I feel like this person is, and I'm just going to straight up say it, I feel like they're pretty lost. And I feel like they're on this journey of really, really looking for somebody to like save them, to fix them, to heal them, to make them feel better, to essentially to love themselves. But nobody can love us into loving ourselves. We have to learn to do that ourselves. And we have to learn to do that by peeling back the layers of the things that we don't like about ourselves and learning to love ourselves as we are. Now, we already talked about in the beginning that this person doesn't like themselves very much, right? Like, which is where that love bombing, that overcompensation really comes from. So here's what I feel like happened. I feel like I was just trying to break down this energy. Here's what I feel like happened. I feel like you guys met, and both of you were like, wow, this feels so good. This is so amazing. Dream come true. Oh my gosh, yes, fate. We were meant to meet. This person immediately felt insecure because they already don't feel good enough for who they are, right? They don't feel good enough for, or lovable enough for who they are. So in their subconscious mind somewhere, they said, I'm going to need to overcompensate. I'm going to need to show up with all of this love and all of these compliments. I'm going to need to get this person to basically trick this person into loving me because I'm unlovable, because I'm not good enough for love. And I feel like that, they did. I don't feel like they tricked you into loving them. I'm gonna dive into that a little bit more. But I feel like they did whatever they felt they needed to do to get you to love them in some way. But then eventually, because not everyone can keep up the facade. Like if you look at the Seven of Cups, he's wearing a mask. Eventually that mask came off. Who they really are is presenting itself. And through this, like you've really fallen in love with the potential of this person because this person's been really trying. They've been trying to, the love bombing, the showing up with that mask and all that. So you've kind of fallen in love with that person, which essentially is this person's potential, right? That means that they are capable of doing the right things. They are capable, but those insecurities are going to creep back in. And they're going to start to feel unlovable. And they're going to start to feel not good enough. Especially as the connection starts to deepen. Especially as you guys start to get closer. And they're going to be like, oh my gosh, this person, Gemini, is going to see who I am behind this mask. And we can't have that because I don't like who I am behind this mask. So they're not going to like who I am behind this mask. So instead of being like, maybe I should learn to love myself so I don't ruin this, they sabotage it. They make, and that's where I feel like that stubbornness comes from, is it's like I am so determined to keep Gemini at a distance or keep Gemini from getting too close that I'm going to do whatever I can to keep Gemini at a distance, but then love bomb them or do what I need to do to keep them coming back, right? So that's where I feel like a lot of the problems arise, is essentially it kind of feels, which is funny because Gemini being the twins, it kind of feels like this person has like two different versions of them. It's like there's the version of them that shows up wanting to make things work, that shows up with the effort, the love bomby, effort-driven or effort-giving person. And then there's the version of them that maybe goes cold and shuts off their heart and shuts down and pushes you away. And I feel like you never really know who you're going to get. And I feel like it's hard because you are wanting like just who this person really is. I feel like you're like, but I do love this person for who they are. Like I see them for who they are, and I know that this could be really good if they would just take that mask off and we could just like be in a connection. Like if they would just stop playing games essentially. But this person is so again, trapped in a world of their own making. They're so lost in their insecurities and in their traumas and in their hurt that they don't know how to take off that mask. If somebody doesn't feel good enough themselves, if somebody doesn't love themselves, they're not going to believe that you love them. They're not going to let you love them. They're not going to let you in enough to allow themselves to be loved because they inherently do not believe that they are lovable. So you're going to say, I love you, and they're going to be like, yeah, no, you don't. And that's where things get really frustrating, is because you're like, but I do. And this felt so good. Like, what the hell happened? So I feel like what you're dealing with is what I like to coin the term of is a difficult person. Somebody who is very driven by their deeper wounding, the wounding that, exists in their subconscious and that doesn't know, like, the wounding that has made its way into their subconscious that now controls their decisions. Doesn't know how to let people in, doesn't know how to love well, but desires love. So will do whatever it takes to receive love, but doesn't know how to reciprocate that, doesn't know how to give it back. And I feel like that is really hard, especially when you develop feelings for this version of them, right? The version of them that does desire love and does put in the effort. But then when you're starting to experience the other version of them, the version of them that pushes it away, that doesn't know how to receive it, that maybe doesn't act all that kind or loving, you're kind of like, well, I don't really know what is going on, right? Because you're like, well, I love this version of you, but this version of you can kind of go to hell. Not saying you're actually saying that, but it's just kind of like it's hard. It's hard because you're like, but things were so good, your dream come true, but then what the hell is this? And I think that that's where we have to kind of let go of our idea of who somebody is, because people show us who they are through their actions, right? They show us who they are every single day with the way that they show up. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with people who are insecure, a little bit love bomby, sometimes we have to rely really heavily on our gut with those people. Because since they do present themselves from this place of being you know, all that we've ever asked for, what happens is then we get hooked into that, and then we spend the majority of the relationship trying to get back to that, trying to get back to that version of them, even though they're showing up the majority of the other person. And that creates kind of almost this attachment to the hope of the connection being good again, the hope to us being happy, the hope to that potential that we see finally being realized. But then it's just kind of like, it's just that switch back and forth. It's like sometimes they're this person, but then when you start to get too close, wounding starts to tap in, and they switch to that other person. And then you're left going, well, what the hell? There's probably arguments, there's chaos, whatever. They don't want to lose you, so they switch back to another person to keep you close, to keep you there, to keep you coming back. But then when you get too close, switching that, it's like around and around and around again. And, you know, I've dealt with, I will say, several people who kind of present this kind of behavior, and all of them were actually very different. They had very different personalities, different ways of presenting themselves, but at the core of it all, what it is insecurity. And it's hard because typically these people present as someone who's very confident because they're confident in that version of them that they pretend to be, but they can't pretend to be that version forever. So when we're dealing, the way that we, and this, I said this at the beginning, spiritual warfare, the way that we protect ourselves from these people is to make sure that we listen to our gut. We can always tell when someone's being genuine. We can always tell when someone's being real with us. But sometimes our desire to be loved and our desire to finally find that person that we've been looking for starts to override that gut feeling and starts to say, but what if this is worth it? And so we abandon that gut feeling and we jump in head first to try to make it work, and then we end up getting hurt. And I feel like in this connection in particular, there's something about like there being a spiritual purpose to this. Saying that with like the religious factors, but I feel like overall there's just this need to know that, like, first of all, Gemini, you are capable of experiencing love, whether or not it comes from this person. Okay, the potential that you saw in this, the dream come true energy that you felt, you can have that. There are people out there who are going to show up like that and are capable of being like that full time. Okay. Whenever you're dealing with someone who is really good at being very synthetic or having like that synthetic, it's like they know what to say, they know what to do, they know all the right things, but you can genuinely feel their intentions. So learning to kind of tap below the surface of what someone's saying and doing and start to really learn to understand, like, okay, but, you know, what are the little things? Do they call when they say they're going to? Do they respect me? Do they respect my time? Do they make me feel heard? Have they also been vulnerable with me, or am I the only one being vulnerable with them? There's always little things that we can see that can help us protect ourselves from people that are like this, because these people are everywhere. And sometimes, I mean, we can find them in bosses, we can find them obviously in relationships, we can find them and friends. And when we get hooked into who someone pretends to be, we start to be in danger when that person keeps like switching back and forth, because then we don't really know what's going on and we can get really lost in that. So interesting reading. I'm going to hop on over to the extended view of ego with surrender. I'm going to dive deeper into these messages, looking at the deeper purpose of this and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Gemini, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things that you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Gemini.